entertainment publicist. And one day in my dorm room, many, many eons ago, I sent a letter to a publicist I read about in a magazine and said I wanted to work for her. And she did something that to this day I find pretty incredible, because she's a mentor extraordinaire and something that I try to do for young people every day because someone did it for me. And that is, she called me because she received my letter. And she said, why don't you come up to New York this weekend and I'll interview you. And I came up to New York, and after graduation from Howard University, I moved to New York, and I became her intern. Didn't get the job, but I became her intern, and soon became her assistant, and soon began working as an entertainment publicist. And after a couple of years, I realized that it didn't feed my soul the way I thought it was going to do, and knew that I needed to reinvent myself and do something that was more authentic to who I wanted to be.
So tell us about that juncture. What was there one moment where you sort of woke up and said, I'm done?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. She mentioned that I'm married to someone in Hollywood, and I am. I'm married to the comedian Chris Rock. And so I respect entertainment. I respect artists. I respect the industry. I enjoy the industry. You know, I like going to the movies. I like going to concerts. I respect artists, but on the other instance, they can be pains. And, you know, to go to work every day and to have to deal with some of the attitudes of people, it just, I mean, I'm like, there's absolute no way that I can do this day in and day out. Because unfortunately, the people that I was dealing with, they weren't necessarily like my husband, who I think is a pretty great guy, and doesn't come with all that drama that so many people come with. So I thought about what do I really love to do. I thought deeply about making a transition that could be authentic to who I was. And I was a lifelong volunteer. I grew up in a family of volunteers. My mother is an activist. I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up with a mother who is a picketer, a mother who is a campaigner, a mother who will knock on folks' doors and talk about issues, and who kind of dragged me from the cradle with her doing so. A mother who told me from a very young age that service is the rent you pay for living. To whom much is given, much is required. And I thought, could I take this love of giving back, this love of volunteering, and turn that into a career? And I started talking to folks about it, and came to the realization that I wanted a career in the non-for-profit industry. No sooner did I have that epiphany was I flipping through the New York Times want ads, and there was a job for UNICEF, the U.S. Fund for UNICEF, which is the United States branch of amazing UNICEF, you know, doing life-saving work in over 150 countries worldwide for women and children, that said needed someone with an entertainment background, someone with special events, someone with public relations background, to run and manage a new celebrity relations department. I mean, that job had my name written all over it. I don't know, I haven't looked through a New York Times one ad in a long time, but back in the day, you sent your resume into a number, and you just wrote it down and sent it in, and it was like it just went out there, and you had no control over following up or anything. Everybody's shaking their head out there like, yep, I've sent those resumes in like that. And so it took 3 months for someone to call me back, 3 months. And when I finally got that call, I went in, and it was one of those marathon days where that first interview went well. So then they said, stay and meet with the next person, and then stay and meet with the next person, and stay and meet with the next person. And by the end of the day, I had the job. And that really changed the trajectory of my whole life.
How old were you at that point?
I was in my late 20s, almost 30.
Was there one person, because I know so many of you probably had a mentor, and women are good about mentoring one another. Was there one person when you were sort of doing your information gathering that really pushed you to make the change? Because that's a great change.
I would still say the same person who I wrote that letter to in college, Terry Williams. And she remains my mentor to this day. And also she remains the one person who is my touchstone, who, you know, she was my first boss. And her ethics are just so tremendous that in my everyday work life, I still think about what would she do? How would she handle this? And now that I am in the position that I'm in, and young girls contact me on a daily basis through email, from my website, through letters, I always contact them back. And if I cannot do what she did for me, I always refer them because someone did the same thing for me.
That whole pay it forward thing, I think, is so important to women.
Absolutely.
And you've been always great about doing that. But it's the message I think we also need to teach our daughters, especially not just the volunteerism and the service as a rent for a living, which I love that phrase, but just the ability to stand up and take responsibility for somebody when they're looking to you for advice.
Absolutely.
So, what was the biggest surprise, before we get into what because I want to hear a little bit about UNICEF, but what was the biggest surprise to you when you made the switch about going from getting, you know, milk bubble baths for celebs? Okay, it's Hollywood. What was the most outrageous thing you were asked to do by one of your clients where you said, that's it?
You know, just the phone calls in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, my limo's not outside. Well, get on the phone to the phone number that I provided for you and call. You know, why are you waking me up to make the phone call? I gave you the phone number. I mean, I literally, my brain couldn't comprehend the inability to do anything for yourself.
So these were men, clearly. These were all men, right?
Yeah.
Because a woman would have taken off her shoes, climbed over the barrier, gotten in the limo, and driven it away with an issue for a magazine.
But you know what? There were women. So you know the interesting thing, when I moved into nonprofit, what was so different, because I still worked with celebrities in my first nonprofit job. What was so beautiful, and the difference, the huge difference, is that when I worked with celebrities in the entertainment industry, when they would get ready for an event, say, an award show, what would go into getting them ready to walk down a red carpet versus what it took to get a celebrity ready to go into a war-torn country. The difference of working with the two was just so huge and so beautiful. And it was so authentically me in my new position. A huge difference. And so there is goodness in people who make a living in the entertainment industry when you're seeing them on the other side. Someone like Chrissy Turlington, who you guys are going to, I hope you all stick around for her movie, which is so dynamite. She has found this supermodel who we're so used to seeing strutting down runways. This girl has found her true authentic self in war-torn countries, in working with maternal mortality, women who are walking days and days and days to give birth. Her film is so beautiful, and she has reinvented herself and again found her true authentic self through this amazing work. Again, a celebrity who strips herself all down to do such critical work, and that's what I found in working with celebs for UNICEF.
Well, I think any celeb that's going to put themselves out there in a positive way to do some good is probably that person who's willing to strip themselves down.
Absolutely.
There's probably both kinds. So UNICEF, how long?